You're on Strat News Global, and I'm Nitin Gokhale. The weekly program that we have recently started with the United Service Institution, India's oldest military think tank, Strategic Insight, is something that we are going to talk about the India-China boundary issue and, of course, sector-specific issues that India and China face in those particular sectors which are divided into, as you know, the western sector, the central sector or the middle sector, and the eastern sector. In the previous two episodes, you had me talking about Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, and today we are going to talk about the middle sector, which is mostly located in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. And with me today are two eminent military officers, army officers in fact, who have served along the China frontier. To my left, Lt Gen PJS Pannu, Corps Commander in Ladakh, the 14 Corps, Fire and Fury Corps, and someone who has served even in Arunachal Pradesh in his younger days in Tawang. And to my right, Lt Gen Harish Thukral, our former defense attaché in Pakistan, and also someone who commanded an area in Uttar Pradesh at Bareilly, which looks after the middle sector, which is, as I said, located in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh mostly, and which is one of the oldest disputes that India and China has on the boundary. General Thukral, let me turn to you first, and welcome to this program, first of all.
Thank you, Nitin.
You have sort of commanded that area very recently. In fact, you retired from there. So what is the issue at what we generally know about the middle sector is that there is a pasture called Barahoti, and that's a disputed area. But beyond that, very little is actually known about the middle sector. So give us some background on that.
It is important for us to understand that a peaceful border, either on the LOC with Pakistan or the LAC with China, has never been the preferred option of either of these countries. They have been trudging along quite reluctantly with this peace on the borders. Now, in this backdrop, now this whole thing in the Galwan Valley happens. Actually, it is not only Galwan Valley. China has activated the entire western, central and the eastern sectors. There have been unprecedented mobilization of the PLA on all the three sectors. They have been well reported, well documented by now. So when this type of a thing happens, it is a windfall profit for a state like Pakistan, which is fully opportunistic. And in this scenario, Pakistan would definitely be looking for an opportunity to further its own interests, whether it is by direct collusivity or it is by indirect invisible collusivity. That we will come later when the program continues.
Right.
But now coming on to specifically the central sector.
Right.
Now, of all the three sectors where India shares the boundary with China, the central sector has been traditionally the most benign. It is firstly the shortest, only 545 kilometers of border, both along the state of Himachal Pradesh as well as Uttarakhand now. And of course, we have about 279 kilometers border also with Nepal at the tri-junction of a pass which is closely located to the tri-junction, that is Lipu Lake. Now, this 545 kilometers of land border, normally known as the central sector in India, has about 7 to 8 places where China has staked its claim historically, basically based on the differing perceptions of the watershed, which was the Britishers' preferred way of demarcation of border. Now, over the years, it is important to state that many rounds of talks have been held, but the only place where the differing perceptions of the LAC have been exchanged is the central sector. It has not happened in the eastern sector. It has also not happened in the western sector. Why it has happened here is because these claims are compared to the other claims where in the eastern sector the claim is of Arunachal Pradesh. In the western sector, it is of Aksai-Chin, which are hugely humongous areas. In the central sector, these claims total to about 2,000 odd square kilometers. And within these claims, China, in the latest JWG meeting, actually had listed only one of them. So the others, by templated logic, doesn't mean that they go away, but they are.
It's a low-hanging fruit.
It's a low-hanging fruit. They were put on the back burner. But the main important claim of China in this sector is what is, and you rightly stated in your opening introduction, is the Barahoti grazing ground. Now, this is a old grazing ground, but China stakes claim of about 750 square kilometers on this piece of grazing ground, which is on the own side of the watershed across the Tunjunla Pass. Now, over a large number of previous years, India and China have quite a credible system of maintaining peace here.
We're not deployed there.
We are not deployed, and we are not also doing patrolling. And similarly goes for the Chinese. So the area is comparatively peaceful, but there have been increasing amount of incursions, so to say. And these incursions are not of long-standing duration, and they come and they go away. Similarly, we go and we come back to our own deployed areas. So the border management protocols are being well adhered to in this area.
It's a better sector than most of the other sectors. But I'll come back to this sector again. But General Pannu, you've been a corps commander in Leh not very long ago. And of course, before that, you were in Tawang in 1982.
Also, I commanded a division there. Yes.
You commanded a division there. So, it's quite different. Nefa, or now Arunachal Pradesh, is quite different from what the central sector which General Thukral just described. But I want you to come in on the larger thing that he started off with about Pakistan and China collusivity. Since you've commanded in Ladakh, give me your perspective about what do you think is the reason behind these two moving together.
To make it, short to say that great game has been at play in this area since time immemorial. British have always been very apprehensive of Russian expansion into this area. And the entire strategy of Afghanistan, of China, Tibet area was all dictated by their only intention to keep Russia, the superpower and the future superpower, away. And obviously, largely they went into collusivity with the United States. On 15th of August, in 1947, when the British left our country, they left in a hurry. They were under debt. They did not want to stay here any longer. But this great game never went out of their head. The division of Pakistan, the Gilgit-Baltistan, how they played, with Raja Hari Singh's coming in, and British remained advisor on both sides. And then they were marking lines after lines. They kept marking lines, which we now call McMahon. They kept marking lines in Aksai-Chin area along Kunlun Mountains and Karakoram. So you can keep calling them by, McCartney line and Johnson line and Foreign Office line.
Right.
So when India became independent, all these lines were on the map.
Right.
As a result, in 1947, two things happened on 15th August. One is the independence of India, great jubilation that the British have left and we become independent. And second is partition of India. Two big events. And between 1947 and 1950, a lot of realignment was happening. And in 1950, of course, now I will come to the area when I talk about the strategic importance of this area called the Aksai-Chin and Ladakh and Gilgit-Baltistan, this area. This became a center focus of attention of the Chinese, maybe to an extent by India or less, we can decipher that. But they started looking at Xinjiang as an area of future strategic importance because it rested on the borders of Soviet Union at that time. And they wanted to manage this area. And Xinjiang at that time, when you decipher what it means new borders. And some people say, no, it is the old property with new borders. So that is the meaning of Xinjiang. Now, coming down to the present, when I was commanding 14 Corps, I found something very interesting, that we have double hump camels, the Bactrian camels, in Hundar.
In
Partapur,
Partapur,
desert.
near Partapur, yeah.
What are they doing here? Where did they come from? They were part of the Silk Route trade. The Taklamakan desert, which we talk about, we have the Tarim, area there.
Yeah.
So they would do a movement with the camels on the Silk Route.
Right.
Go to Yarkand and come back and go towards Gilgit-Baltistan and further link it up with the West.
Sure.
In 1947 and between 1947 and 1950, the whole trade came to a grinding halt, and these camels have been locked in here. They stayed back here. That is one.
Yeah.
Second thing, what happened was that Xinjiang being an area which was unsettled, strategically extremely important for trade and for politics. And in the recent times, that the SEO really was built around it, because, the Soviet Union and the CAR and the Eurasian outlook towards this area, they very quickly built a road. I'm talking about the Chinese, the Western Highway, to link up this area between Lhasa and Kashgad. When they built this area, it remained a gravel track for very long, till as late as 2013, when they actually, blacktopped it.
Yeah.
When you start looking at these dates, that, in 2013, what were the Chinese doing there? They went into Eastern Ladakh all of a sudden because they were actually building this road and widening it and wanting it to be made into a, Grand Highway 219. And they did not want the Indians to, A, look at that side, and B, not to build infrastructure in that direction. So as a result, when today you look at the problem between the Aksai Chin, the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, you have a two-front, and in between you have Leh, Ladakh, and Kargil on the other side, where, of course, in 1999 in Kargil, we had Operation Vijay, which everybody knows. This area, actually Ladakh, 14 Corps, ever since India became independent, every battle which was fought here. There's no battle, whether with China or with Pakistan, where this area was left out.
That's right. Even in, 1999 was only Kargil.
Only Kargil. Because, so, you talk about 62, you talk 65. About before that 47, 48, and, for 65 and 71 and now 99 and wherever. So there is an interplay of two countries. There's an interplay of geography, there's an interplay of history, and the larger connotation of the geostrategic importance, which is at play here. So, peels after peels of history, peels after peels, so many layers of people having different outlook and perception. And one incident happens, and you do not know this incident is being seen by the world. This incident is being seen by 2 or 3 countries around it. It is actually being seen by CAR. It is being seen by Russia. It is being seen, at that time by Soviet Union. Whatever happened in Afghanistan, it is the same area. Then AFPAC happened, the biggest place where the terrorism comes from. And now, when you say Uyghur, Muslim, dominated area. Very thinly populated, but highly volatile area. Right. So I think we can continue to talk about this area.
We'll do that.
Yes. And
we'll do that in this next episode.
Where we are going now.
But in the middle sector, General Thukral, again, it's again come into the limelight recently because of the Nepal issue. Nepal has also joined in the entire controversy. Lipu Lake, when the road was opened to Lipu Lake by India, Nepal suddenly changed its maps. So, that factor, see, China is very cleverly playing this game there. They have put Nepal in front and has now opened a new front for India. How do you look at that?
Right. Just before coming to the answer to that particular question, I'll just add on to where General Pannu left. Now, I had stated that this reclaiming of Aksai Chin and POK was an important but rightful thing by India. Now, if this upset the Chinese sensitivities, in Pakistan, this caused a mortal scare. And Pakistan thought that with this wide gap in our militaries now, and with this India's newfound in their terms, belligerent attitude, which was evident in Balakot, India is now more likely, and there is an increasing propensity of India to shift this LOC westwards and take control of the key strategic areas which will improve its domination of the LOC. And that is why, if you take your mind back, Pakistan PM is repeatedly flagging that India is likely to launch a false flag operation. Now, this is important to understand that why this collusivity angle is important. Earlier, everybody used to think that it is Pakistan which is extracting collusivity from China, because Pakistan is a smaller country, China is a bigger power. It controls the supply chain better. It does not have any, really contentious border management issues with India. So it can actually extract collusivity for its benefit. That is what Pakistan's view. But now with CPEC becoming a very big vulnerability for China, and Pakistan Army's repeated assurances that it will deliver on the CPC to China, whether it is security, whether it is safeguarding their investments, whether it is assuaging the very negative public opinion today which is there in Pakistan because of CPEC. So Pakistan Army is that guarantor to China. So this gives Pakistan Army that leverage that this particular collusivity is now not being extracted on no terms, but it is on our terms.
Right.
So collusivity is a more likely option now. Coming on to the central sector, now apart from Barahoti, there were other areas which are also contentious. One is important, one is Palam Sumda, which is opposite Nelang in the Harsil sector. And that is the biggest one, about 1400 square kilometers. Again, differing lines of perceptions of the watershed, but that area is also dormant as of now. It has not been listed as one of the disputes, but it can be made live anytime by China. Similarly, if you go further westwards, you have the Korik sector, you have the Shipkila sector from where the Satluj gets into India. These have also got small claims of China, again based on differing perceptions of the watershed, which can be made live anytime. But the terrain here is such that both sides have got very limited options. One of the most important areas in the middle sector where India as well as China had a good opportunity from the military perspective was the area of Lipu Lake. Now, Lipu Lake is, if you stand on Lipu Lake, from there, the western highway of China is the closest. Also, you look into Pala, you look into Taklakot, which were on the old, not on the old, but on the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. If you take your mind back, Zorawar Singh, General Zorawar Singh, has his burial site is at Taklakot, and Taklakot is the gateway to Kailash Mansarovar, and from there the western highway is in striking distance. Vice versa, if you view the area from China's side, now we have the road connectivity to Lipu Lake. You come to Dharchula, you come to the plains. So for China also it is important, for India is also important. This issue of Nepal now reclaiming a portion of that watershed, which goes from Lipu Lake westwards to Lampiadhura, it's a pass, and then coming down from Kanthi Yungti and up to a place called Gunji. This effectively puts about 200 square kilometers or 235 square kilometers in Nepal's domain. But with Nepal's and China's relation, the watershed willy-nilly will get controlled by China. And because of the Mahakali corridor, which is coming from Tinkerla Pass and down all the way to Tanakpur, if you now see this whole gamut in full perspective, China can gain a lot of traction on the watershed. That's why India is sensitive. The claim, we have a very, very historical, very credible and a very well-documented claim of over the Lipu Lake Pass, over where the tri-junction lies. The Sino-Nepal Treaty, which happened much after the Sigoli Treaty, clearly states where the tri-junction lies. So historically, we are absolutely on a very firm, correct footing. And we don't have even an iota of doubt as to this area belongs to whom or from where Kali Nadi originates.
Yes, but what I want to also conclude, because we are running out of time on the middle sector, what are the military threats, if at all, for India? You mentioned the highways on both sides can be, sort of interdicted.
There are
options.
As far as our strategy is concerned, it can be divided into long term and short term. For the short term, with this recent incident, now it is very clear that India should never be lulled into this hope of a peace dividend on the LOC or LAC.
Right.
We have to guard every inch, and every inch is important because in the minds of our stated national policy now, borders are non-negotiable. Whether it is strategically important or not, borders by definition and by our nationally proclaimed and very, very well promulgated strategy are non-negotiable. So every area is important, whether it is a desert or whether it is a habitated area. So the second thing is that we have to match with China's connectivity in a real quick time frame. There are areas, Mana, Lipule, Mana, Niti Pass, where we have connected. Tunjunla, we were close. But in other areas of the middle sector, I am very confident and I am very sure that the government has given a very recent big push to the connectivity problem. The third point is that anything on these borders cannot happen like a magic wand. Things take time to build up.
Yes.
And if we have to notice that build up, we have to have a very, very effective ISR. Now, Kargil Review Committee delved a long time on ISR and why that particular incident took place.
Right.
Similarly, there are many voices now which says about our ISR gaps which are there. We need to fill them up once and for all. And for that, whatever it takes, as far as the national security strategy is concerned, we must put it on. The fourth point which I want to make is that now we must have a very declaratory border management policy. That if there is a violation of the perceived line of actual control or the LOC, India will retaliate swiftly and decisively. This message needs to go down to the last man. If you read on the Iraq war, we come to know what is the importance of a strategic corporal. So everybody who's guarding the border should be in total sync with the policy of the highest mind in the country. So these are the short-term things that we cannot allow another intrusion onto the border.
So I think very well put there. I think we'll continue the discussion in the next episode on on overall border management and what are the options. But we will concentrate more on the western sector, Ladakh sector.
Yeah.
So since we have run out of time and this is not something that we actually can pack into 20 minutes or 25 minutes of discussion. But I must thank both my guests for giving us both a historical perspective as well as the strategic perspective on the Pakistan-China collusivity and how Nepal is now coming into play in a way at Lipu Lake and in the middle sector. We will come back with more in the next episode, which will deal with or discuss the situation in Ladakh more from a historical and strategic point of view rather than what's happening currently at the line of actual control, because that's a dynamic process. But until the next time, it's goodbye from me. Don't forget to watch us on the YouTube channel, like us on our social media handles, and of course, keep sending feedback and comments. Until the next time, see you and goodbye.